Okay, so today we're going to talk about Industrial Revolution. This term came from Auguste Blanqui, a French economist in 1837. What's the meaning of Industrial Revolution? Well, the meaning is greatly increased output of machine-made goods that began in England. Now, the Industrial Revolution brought a series of changes in the methods of manufacture, production, and distribution, and drastically affected the economy and social life of the people. There are two types of Industrial Revolution. The first one, which took place in Europe, and the second one that took place in America. Right now, we're going to talk about the first one. The first Industrial Revolution began in 1760 and it ended in 1830. This revolution originates in Great Britain. Producing cloth became faster and required less time and far less human labor. The British iron industry also adopted new innovations. Among the new techniques was the melting of iron, with a material made by heating coal instead of traditional charcoal. This method was cheaper and produced higher quality materials. As early as 1705, coal miners were using steam-powered pumps to remove water from deep mine shafts. In 1774, Watt joined with a partner named Matthew Boulton. Boulton encouraged him to build better engines. The mechanization of labor created by technological innovation had made working in factories sometimes very dangerous, and many workers were forced to work long hours for pitiful low wages. Though many people in Britain had begun moving to cities from rural areas before the Industrial Revolution, this process accelerated dramatically with industrialization, as the rise of large factories turned smaller towns into major cities over the span of decades. This rapid urbanization brought significant challenges as overcrowded cities suffered from pollution and a lack of clean drinking water. Now, let's talk about the Second Industrial Revolution. It all started in the United States in the late 19th and 20th century. This is also known as the Technological Revolution. No period introduced more changes than the Second Industrial Revolution. It was an era when industrial growth created a class of wealthy entrepreneurs and a comfortable middle class, supported by workers who were made up by immigrants and arrivals from America's farms and small towns. People are coming from rural backgrounds who are used to self-directing their work, which is organized around the seasons and light. Now they are working in a factory that's clock regulated and unchanging. Henry Bessemer created the Bessemer process in 1850s. This converting the iron to steel, which led to mass production of steel. The first main feature of industrial workplaces was the long hours of work. It was not uncommon for workers to be expected to work shifts of 16 hours per day in grueling conditions. Their work was labor-intensive and required the workers to complete repetitive and tiring actions. As such, many of the workers were physically burned out after a day of work. What made the situation worse was the lack of breaks during the long shifts. Often workers were denied their breaks or were deducted pay for taking a break, as well as they were also sometimes required to clean the machines during their meals. The next aspect of the working conditions that industrial workers were forced to endure was the low wages of pay. In general, industrial workers were paid very small amounts and struggled to survive. Some effects that had on urban areas were that immigrants were coming from everywhere. People are moving from countryside to the urban areas. They were all staying in tenement apartment buildings. That increased on fire and crimes, trying to become middle class or better. Another effect was children labor. Children from different ages were working at factories and mines. And the biggest effect was the families were spending less time together because of these long hours working at the factory. And now we got to the end. This all adds up the Industrial Revolution and all its effects.